We have a diplomatic mission for you. An important Vulcan ambassador is traveling from his homeworld to the monastery at JEM. Capturing the ambassador would be a major coup for the Klingons or Orions, so we're assigning you to make sure everything goes smoothly. You are to escort Ambassador Soketh to JEM. Please meet him at Vulcan. Once you locate him, speak with him about the transport mission. Do whatever is necessary to keep him safe.
So, we get to visit Vulcan and JEM. Vulcan was one of the 4 founding species of the Federation, and the first extraterrestrials that humanity encountered, hence they've always enjoyed a strong diplomatic relation with Earth. The Vulcan people adhere to a strict code of emotional suppression to hold back their baser instincts, which are much more savage than most other species, probably due to the years of suppression. Their followings of the teachings of Surak, the way of logic, makes them shrewd diplomats and ambassadors, as well as scientists and other equally cerebral careers. Temet has already put through a call to the ambassador's aide, Pella, who is awaiting our communications.
Greetings. Thank you for agreeing to escort the ambassador to JEM. Ambassador Soketh is currently attending a ritual to honor the end of the Kalrek holiday. He will be done soon, but the ambassador is hesitant to use transporter technology. His bias against the transporters is not logical, but I have come to accept it. I believe that Soketh would be much more comfortable traveling by shuttlecraft. I have received clearance for you to land near the ambassador's location. I look forward to meeting you in person.
So the ambassador will not simply beam aboard. Oh well, he's not alone in transporter phobia, though it is unusual for a Vulcan who isn't supposed to experience fear. It does give me a chance to explore the surface of Vulcan for myself though. Kalrek was a holiday celebrated in complete silence and a time for contemplation and quiet insight. I'm glad we arrived at its end. Orbiting Vulcan with its city-like spires and branching arms is the impressive starbase. It varies from Earth's space dock but is clearly Federation in origin. Around it are several maintenance bays for ships, as well as the bustle of cargo vessels expected from a core Federation world. In the distance we can also see the crimson hulls of the sleek Dakir-class science vessels. The planet itself is harsh by human standards, with a surface temperature comparable to Earth's deserts.
Starfleet shuttlecraft, this is Vulcan Orbital Control. You are cleared to land at the requested coordinates. Welcome to Vulcan. Please enjoy your stay.
Well, I'll try not to have too much fun. Most of its surface is rock or arid plains, punctuated by mountainous regions and several smaller landlocked oceans. Temet informs us that the ambassador is at the crest of the temple, probably to attend to the conclusion of the Kalrek holiday. But I can't resist a look around. Vulcan is renowned for its heat, with deserts called the Forge, sandstorms that are rife with electrical discharges, and a slightly higher gravity than Earth standard. Its surface takes a toll on many non-native inhabitants. Winding our way up the stone path to the temple's summit, the crackling of the braziers serves as a constant reminder of the arid nature of this planet. Interestingly, amid those leaving the festivities, we pass a couple of Bajoran pilgrims, perhaps here to observe another culture's religion. Reaching the summit, we see stone is the primary material used for construction, which makes sense considering the planet. A smattering of greenery reminds us that life will adapt to live almost anywhere, and here's the ambassador now.
Welcome to Vulcan. Do you have any questions?
Ambassador Soketh presents us with several options here, but let's inquire. What's your business at JEM?
My business is my own. If you must know more, I require a meeting with the abbot. He will not use subspace communications, so if I am to receive his counsel, I need to meet with him directly.
Okay, then what is JEM?
JEM is a small world near Andoria. It is sacred to our people. There have been Vulcans on JEM for centuries. In 2152, the ancient buildings that housed our monastery were destroyed by the Andorians.
This must have been before the formation of the Federation.
It was a failing in our logic that led to conflict with the Andorians. We have corrected our error. After the Federation was founded, a group of Andorians, Vulcans, and humans rebuilt the monastery as a symbol of peaceful coexistence and cooperation. Since then, a group of monks has lived there. They study the ideals of Sirach.
Devoting themselves to a life of logic. Well, are you ready to leave, Ambassador?
This is ridiculous. Access to Pajem is strictly limited to preserve the sanctity of the monastery. No outsiders are permitted to land without the expressed permission of Savin, the leader of the Order of the Priest that maintains the planet. Ordinarily, this would not present any difficulty. But Savin has chosen this moment to illogically question my visiting the monastery. He is refusing to grant leave for me to meet with the abbot at Pajem.
He sounds rather emotional, doesn't he? So Savin won't grant him access to the planet despite Soketh's urgency. Can it wait?
If I do not complete my journey to Pajem now, I will have to delay it until after the trade conference at Corridon is complete. And that could take weeks.
Well, that's inconvenient for you and me. We're here now.
I fear I've spent too much time off-world. While I find it easy to deal with others, my own people can be stubborn. Perhaps you could speak to Savin. I know he has a great deal of respect for Starfleet, and you might have an easier time than I have.
Very well, I'll speak to him then. The ambassador does seem rather emotional for a Vulcan. A raised voice, a sense of frustration clearly permeates his words. Probably a side effect from him spending so much time among emotional species, a common occurrence for Vulcans who spend a lot of their time away from their people.
Peace and long life. Do you seek knowledge of the ancestors?
Well, let's make some small talk with the High Priest Savin first, inquiring about the Vulcan monasteries.
Even a people who reject emotion require peace and contemplation. We are a spiritual people. Our rituals guide us throughout our lives. Vulcans who choose a life of study and isolation, as the monks at Pajem have done, help us maintain our connection with our ancestors. The monk's study of Sirach's words in the Kirshara give us all a greater understanding of who we are and who we should strive to be.
Tell me more about Sirach and the Vulcan philosophy.
Centuries ago, the Vulcans were creatures of emotion. We fought one another in a series of wars that devastated our planet. Our species was on the brink of annihilation. Sirach taught us to embrace peace and to put aside our emotions in favor of logic. Sirach ushered in a time of awakening on Vulcan. His writings, the Kirshara, shaped all that we are. Without Sirach, the Vulcans you know would not exist.
Ambassador Soketh says that you won't permit him to visit Pajem.
Soketh accuses me of abandoning logic, but he is the one refusing to explain his reasons for wanting to go to Pajem. The planet is sacred. Our ancestors walked those paths. They found understanding and serenity in its quiet. When I am at Pajem, I feel more at peace than any place else in the galaxy. Pajem has been touched by outside influences in the past. The Federation is at war. Now more than any other time, we must protect this refuge.
What do you mean, protect it? Why do the Vulcans restrict access to Pajem?
Many years ago, Pajem was used for political purposes. Technology used to spy on the Andorians was hidden beneath the sacred sanctuary. It should never have happened. Buildings that had stood for 12 centuries were destroyed because we allowed politics and war in a place where there should only be logic and contemplative thought. When the monastery was rebuilt, we pledged to keep it safe from the cares of the galaxy. Only those who seek peace may enter.
Only those who seek peace may enter? You doubt Ambassador Soketh's intent.
I neither trust him nor distrust the ambassador. I simply do not understand him. He will not reveal his reasons for wishing to speak to the abbot, and has refused a mind meld with me. Normally I could respect his privacy, but other things I have heard trouble me. Sokath has spent more and more time away from Vulcan in recent years, and seems ill at ease in what was once his home. Tapella admits he has changed in the past few months. He spends hours closeted in his study, and does not share meals with his staff as he used to. Tapella says that the stress of the war with the Klingon Empire is taking its toll. She hopes the peace of Pajem will restore him.
Couldn't he just call the temple, conduct his business via subspace comms or the like?
The monks do not use any unnecessary technology. Even replicators are not permitted on Pajem. There is a communications array available to the monks for emergencies. Sokath's request does not qualify.
Is there any way to persuade you to let me to take a quest I could do for you or something?
I will permit it if you will pledge to me, on your honor as a Starfleet officer, that you will protect Pajem from harm. Sokath says his reasons for wanting to speak to the abbot are private. I will accept that, but only if you are with him. I know I can trust Starfleet. Please, protect Pajem from any who would violate its sanctity.
Sure, that I can do. Okay, wow, the High Priest really doesn't trust Sokath. But we got his permission, so let's go tell him the good news.
Do you have any questions?
We have two choices here. We can be blunt and just say he doesn't trust you, or we can disguise his concerns and just ask if he's ready to leave for Pajem. Savin doesn't trust you. Why?
How should I know? He is a small man with small concerns. Thankfully, he has listened to reason, and our journey won't be delayed any longer. I am ready to leave now. Is the shuttle prepared for departure?
Or we can say everything's fixed, you can go.
Excellent. Our departure has been delayed long enough by the whims of one man. I am prepared for the journey and can leave immediately.
Sokath bids farewell to his aide and follows us back to the shuttle. In all honesty, I can understand High Priest Savin's trepidation in allowing Sokath access to Pajem. He's rather emotional for a Vulcan and seems to come off very frustrated and even demeaning, more so than a standard Vulcan's aloofness.
Starfleet shuttlecraft, we have logged your flight trajectory, and you are cleared for departure. Live long and prosper.
I need to meditate and prepare for my meeting with the abbot at Pajem. If you have no objections, I will retire to my quarters. Please notify me when we have arrived at our destination. Once again, you have my gratitude for your assistance.
We set a course for the nearby Pajem system. This system has a dark history. Once upon a time, Commander Shran of the Andorian Imperial Guard led an assault team into its depths to uncover a Vulcan monitoring facility aimed squarely into Andorian space. Captain Archer assisted in the event, and it began the Andorians down the path of cooperation with humanity. Upon entering the system, Tarsi notes some anomalous readings. Ever suspicious, as a security chief should be, she suggests a full scan before we proceed. 3 Khuldoon birds of prey decloak between us and Pajem. We prepare for combat, but they hail us.
You have a foul shape-changer aboard your ship. Turn the creature over to us, or we will destroy you.
Come again?
That foul beast on your ship is an Undine. They put on a false face and try to control us, but we Klingons know better. We will hunt them down until the last of those honorless dogs dies screaming. My patience is limited. Speak quickly.
Remind me, what are the Undine?
The Undine come from a dimension known as fluidic space. They use quantum singularities to move into ours. Undine are telepathic and physically superior to humans. They see anyone from our dimension as an inferior life form, even Klingons. Soon they will know how wrong they are. Undine have the technology to be a real threat to anyone, even the Borg. But the worst of their weapons is their ability to take our forms. The Undine have inserted themselves into every major power in the quadrant and seek to control us through trickery and misdirection. You must be vigilant.
This all seems a little far-fetched, but if we keep him talking, we can close the distance and slowly assess our enemies. What do the Undine want? Why are they here?
Tell me, Starfleet. It was your people who first encountered the Undine in the Delta Quadrant back when we knew them as Species 8472. Many among my people want to know just what you did to make them hate us so.
Someone who would dislike the Klingons? Oh, who'd have thought? But I've read reports on the Undine, and Katak is describing their MO.
Doubt my word? Insult my honor? I have killed men for less! I have nothing to prove to the likes of you! Turn that so-called ambassador over to me now, or face the consequences!
Consequences it is, and with that the Kultum bird of praise turn hostile, and combat begins. The firefight is short and intense, punctuated by periods where the targeted Klingon ships engage its cloak and fades from our scanners. However, cloaked vessels must decloak to fire, and that is the opportunity I was looking for. Locking a tractor beam on it, a volley of photon torpedoes is enough to finish off the final bird of prey. But the Klingons have a head start. We'll investigate their claims later. Maybe. But right now they've beamed down to the surface, and I doubt they went down to meditate. We need to secure the monastery. The monks aren't even armed. They don't have technology down there, remember? The verdant jungles of Pajem are a far cry from Vulcan. This place is a veritable oasis in space. I wonder if this much greenery makes Vulcans uncomfortable though. With the soft chirping of birdsong in the air and the ambient sunlight scattering from the blue sky, it's easy to forget the pressing dilemma at hand. The monks are relying on us. We need to get a move on. Pressing on into the compound ahead, we can see architecture reminiscent of the Vulcan style, but in more organic colours. However, armed Klingons patrol among the buildings. All is definitely not well in the monastery of Pajem. Nothing for it. They are here with hostile intent, and we need to take them out first. We fight our way past a lone sentry, then uphill against groups of 3 or 4. Some are shielded. These would be the commanders in the field. We pass an Idic symbol, the emblem for the Vulcan philosophy of Sirac's teachings, a reminder that this is meant to be a place of peace and serenity, not firefights and strife. We liberate a couple of Vulcan hostages, however, some of which have been executed by their captors. They confirm the story that the Klingons are here to unearth shape-shifting infiltrators. Reaching the summit of the monastery, there are some samples to take and containers to loot until we're contacted by T'Pela, Soketh's aide from Vulcan.
I have terrible news. Vulcan security forces have discovered the body of Ambassador Soketh. They have determined that he was killed by a phaser blast at short range. His remains were discovered in a stasis chamber hidden in a cavern beneath the Ambassador's residence. The Ambassador on your ship, the one that I have been working for, is an impostor.
Well, shit.
You need to be very careful. This impostor was able to fool Soketh's closest associates for months. He is crafty and very patient. Now that he has been discovered, he will be dangerous.
Tarsu's been in communication with security aboard the Armiger and discovered that Soketh has gone, and there's an unauthorized transport in progress. The Vulcans are going to want the imposter for questioning. They'll need to know the extent of the security breaches and manipulations he's been involved with.
Such emotion on your face. I see now my deception has been exposed. Pity. Capturing the abbot so we could replace him as well would have been beneficial. But we are strong. We will prevail. You are weak, and the weak shall perish.
With that, the Soketh Impostor shifts into his true form, species 8472, as they were once known. Three-legged inhabitants of a realm beyond our own, bent on cleansing the impure inhabitants of a universe they perceive as weak. This Undine emits psychic blasts and has great physical strength, but he chooses to morph into the form of a Klingon and run away.
Bothersome creatures! Why should I trouble myself with such insignificant beings, when the Klingons will do my work for me? Warriors! Prepare for battle!
Yes,
There is
sir.
a group of Starfleet officers behind me! One of them is the foul shapeshifter! I'm returning to the ship! Don't let them leave this planet alive!
Comply.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we killed the Klingon commander on the way up here, so his disguise is probably going to go unchallenged. We have to fight our way past his officers now, back down the monastery. But this explains it all, why Soketh seemed a little off. Why he refused to mind meld with the High Priest back on Vulcan. It would expose him. His fear of transporters, as the numerous filters and scanners in place may reveal his true nature. The time he spent alone was the time needed to revert to his true form and take the injections that allow the Undine to retain another shape. We reach the base of the hill, but it seems that the imposters beamed away, perhaps to a hidden vessel. We transport back to the Armiger, just as the remaining Klingons open fire on where we were moments before. Once back in orbit, Tarsi informs us that an Undine ship has appeared, but on her tactical analysis, we don't stand a chance. Especially in a converted Constitution-class ship. Federation reinforcements are en route, but it will be a minute before they get here. She suggests targeting the incoming torpedoes to reduce the damage, a sound tactic, but one that will require some quick aiming and precision targeting. Well, she's not wrong. Those torpedoes hurt, and its beam weapons strip the shields from us like a strong wind against a sheet of paper. Not much longer now, we just have to hold out till the cavalry gets here. Diverting all power to shields ought to help. The fleet arrives. The USS Kirk, the Rideout, the Terev, the Texas, and the Galaxy-class USS Challenger. Now we can fight back. The Undine uses a type of organic bioship that proves to be far more resilient than anything Starfleet has come up with. It takes the combined fire of all 6 vessels to put a dent in that ship, but eventually we do some lasting damage. The species even gave the Borg a run for their money, decimating entire swaths of their fleet in the Delta Quadrant. We need to know how and why Species 8472 is here. What threat do they pose now? But it's looking increasingly unlikely we'll get to take the Soketh Impostor alive. We manage to scan the destructing ship as it drifts into debris and salvage what appears to be a small amount of data. The Challenger then hails us.
This is Captain LaForge of the USS Challenger. Glad to see we made it here in time to lend you a hand. Perhaps you'll return the favor someday. LaForge out.
Captain LaForge. One of those captains who worked their way up the ranks in a gold uniform of engineering before switching to command. It's good to see that some of those futures play out as depicted. Well, the mission didn't go as planned. At all, in fact. But we learned of a new threat to the Federation, one that needs investigating further, and perhaps Starfleet intelligence can make use of the data fragments we scavenged from the debris of the bioship.
The Ambassador was an Undine? I'm afraid their infiltration of the Federation goes much deeper than we realized. Who knows what kind of havoc they could create?
With our report filed, that is all for now. I can't help but wonder, however, would events have escalated so far if I'd just believed the Klingon commander when he informed us of the imposter? maybe there was a peaceful solution and I was blinded by my mistrust of the enemy. After all, the Klingons did blow me up once. Different time, but... Then again, perhaps they'd have attacked anyway. We needed that impostor alive for interrogation, as did they. Instead, neither has him, and we'll have to make do with what little we found out. How deep does this weed go? Where are the roots, and how do we remove it? Thanks for watching this episode. This is a continuing series where we explore the storylines of Star Trek Online and its chapters as we follow the events of the temporal agent Mark Hale and the crew of the USS Armiger. I hope to see you next part, and until then I've been Rick. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.